Hello, everyone, and welcome to Petite to Queen's Claim Your Career Crown podcast. I'm your host, Lynn, and today I'm joined by our VP of Operations, Amanda, and our special guest, Doug Setter. And I am so excited for today's show because this is going to be an important topic. We're talking about how everyone, including women and anyone over the age 50, should know about self-defense. Okay, and I'm going to tell you something about Doug because he's really an amazing gentleman. He is a certified fitness instructor with a Bachelor of Human Ecology, Foods and Nutrition. He is the author of Fit Femme After 50, Flat Gut After 50, Flat Gut After COVID, and that is going to be released here shortly. And that is going to be amazing. Well, if the book's published, we're going to have that link down below. He also does the Stomach Flattening, Reduce Your Alcohol Craving, and One Less Victim, a Crime Prevention Manual. And so besides those publications, a little bit more about Doug. He's been a paratrooper, a competitive kickboxer, and marathon runner. As an infantry sergeant, he led a UN peacekeeping mission in the former Yugoslavia and later instructed over 30 trainees in military and outdoor skills. That had to be very arduous. And then in his late 30s, Doug combined kickboxing with exercise and taught women's cardio kickboxing with wait list classes. So that is amazing. And he teamed up with martial arts instructor and former undercover vice police officer William Bell to instruct self-defense for children, teens, women, and welfare investigators. And there's more. There's more. At the age of 40, he won a welterweight kickboxing title belt, and he climbed Mount Rainier in beautiful Washington State at the age of 47. Through changing behavior, he was able to overcome his poor school marks and complete university with a Bachelor of Human Ecology. I can still not say it right, guys. Foods and Nutrition. So I am so thrilled because Doug instructs self-defense and personal training with many clients over the age 50, and here you are today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, Lynn. Amanda, it's great to be here. This is awesome.
And hopefully I'm going to get the rest of it right for everybody who's joining us for the first time. All of us have our humility squares. Mine was demonstrated today, but if you like the show, you love what we're doing, you can subscribe to Claim Your Career Crown wherever you get your podcasts. And I hope you do thoroughly enjoy what we're putting together for you. And if you do, please subscribe, and we'd love to have a 5-star review. All right, well, let's get right into this, Doug, because I'm fascinated about your background and what you've done, especially in self-defense for women and people over 50. Can you tell us about the journey that brought you to this point?
Yeah, I was underweight kids. I had pneumonia about 3 times time I was 6, and I was always sick. So you're fighting my way up the food chain in high school. And I remember getting knocked around a bit, and I took up weights, and I, got all the ads, the protein powders, and I was still getting thumped out. And I eventually got, one summer I went away to, I took an Army Reserve course, a little more self-confidence, and then I eventually joined the Army. I was still too skinny to get in the Army. I remember drinking as much water as I could, put things in my pockets so I could pass the minimum weight. And it was interesting that I got in again. I pushed hard, but I finally dialed back a bit, slowed down. I put on 40 pounds of muscle, and then as I got more confident, I became a paratrooper, which Canadian Airborne Regiment, and that was fascinating, a lot of fun. And then I got out, and I was always studying judo and karate, and then one time I got into a bar brawl, partially my fault, when you're young and whatever. And so that's it. And so I took up kickboxing, and I was able to train with these provincial champions. 2 of them were former national champions. And I just remember focusing, and eventually I got more confident. And let's just say it's better to give than receive. And then later on, when I moved to Winnipeg, that's just above Dakota, I took up teaching fitness, and I wanted to teach kickboxing too, but there wasn't much of a market, so I started doing the music thing. It was very much like Billy Blank's Tybo, and it was crazy, and it was always women, and I was very kind of intimidated because I didn't know how to teach women. Like, who am I? And I'd be up there going away, and then I'd turn around, and of course they'd take off their sweat tops and they have all this tight stuff on. I'm like, okay, just ignore that, and they'd giggle. But I got better and better at it, and then later on they came up to me and says, hey, well, let's, I want to do it for real. I go, get out of here, and so okay, I thought it out, and a couple times I was surprised. I got the bleeding lips and chipped teeth to prove it, because they could unload if trained properly. And I remember being in Hong Kong, watch these little gals. They're like 100 pounds, and they were just dynamite. They'd come out there in the ring and they were something else. So yeah, I trained some gal. One gal, she went on to become a competitor. She actually went to a boxing gym. Two of them are police officers. One's a colonel in the army now. But just a lot of fun, and it helped me because I didn't know how to train women, so I got better at it. Now later on, I teamed up with my friend William Bell, and his father had survived a Japanese prisoner of war camp. So this guy was tough as nails. He'd been stabbed and clubbed on the job, and just a real good guy. And so we put together. We started putting together the self-defense, and a lot of it is before you're in the fight.
Yeah.
And you probably understand. It's everyone's an expert and all this, that, and I've been choked out by women martial artists, but it's too late when you got that stage. So there's a process, and I've noticed when I was in the army, especially, certain guys are always getting beat up. Well, you go drinking with them, and yeah, there's a reason. Like if you're polite, sense of self, and I think generally speaking, just plain respectful and polite, I think that's 90% of it. And if you demonstrate confidence, that's another large portion. I mean, there are times when you get ambushed and whatever, but I found that a lot of the personalities I noticed and I spent a lot of time with were the ones who were more picked on or put themselves in dangerous situations. And that's not the victim blame, because later on I wrote that book, and I phoned victim services. I did actually did a short thing on a crime column, and I said, well, listen, do you find there's repeat victims? And at first, the initial response was, oh no, there's no such thing. And later on, they actually phoned me back and says, you know what? Yeah, we had the same clients calling all the time because they get in trouble. And I go, yeah, it's interesting. So, you'd like me to talk about the stages, if you will? Because first of all, sorry, questions?
Oh yeah, you can go ahead and talk about the stages before I get to the next question. It's really interesting what you're saying, and it's so true. So I'm fascinated to learn more.
Yeah, there's first of all there's people with bad intentions, and I know as a kid, I remember one time someone offered me a ride when I was 15, and I was just tired, and I go, yeah, whatever, and then it turned into be almost a molestation, and I got out of there, but your part of your brain is saying, oh, this can't be happening. It only happens to other people. And so you start recognizing, and I can usually tell it whether a stray dog is going to be trouble or not. And later on, you just start picking up things. And in a subtle tone, we run into people who usually know there's something off. Usually you can tell. And the language they use, and they'll try to be over friendly. They will be insistent. They will be pushy. Like I lived in a place that was kind of a low end, saving money, going to school, and people were always trying to get into the building. So a nice person, I would say, listen, I'm sorry, can't let you in, and they would understand. But if they had bad intent, they usually argue with you. And of course, we have to up it and well, whatever. Yeah, but that's the usual thing, just looking. And the second thing is they call it the interview. And this is when someone will approach you and see how you react. This is like the junkyard dog. And often, sometimes a panhandler will come up and say, well, have you got $1? And I say, no. And he's, well, how about 50 cents? And then, what's wrong? And they trying to engage you. You think you're better than me, blah, blah, blah. there's all these, and what I find, generally speaking, if I'm polite and I not right now, excuse me, you can usually diffuse a lot of these things. So they don't get to gather information. You know, from a soldier's perspective, I'm always denying the enemy the information, right? I've got my defenses up, and I'm always denying. Don't let them know about me. So that's, and then later on we get into positioning, which unfortunately I've been lucky enough. I've been in situations where I figure it out and I leave, where the criminal wants to surround you with either force, weapons, or more people. What puts you in a bad spot where it's hard to get out of, and then the attack comes. Because keep in mind, they want to escape as well.
Mhm.
So, and then so that's a series, and a lot of times we just do it instinctively. We know this. We reckon even a kid will figure it out really quick. Kid look around, they don't like you. They let you know. Whereas we get too polite sometimes, and I say, oh, you try to talk your way, but generally speaking, if you got a good sense of self, you say, no, excuse me,
Yeah.
and that's that I found most of it. I mean, sometimes I have been in situations where conversation's going nowhere, and well,
Yeah.
game on. If you're, so why do you hit that guy, Dad? Well, conversation's going nowhere. That's when I was younger, but
Yeah.
that's the biggest one. I find that with cases I've read and studied, it's the people who don't have that sense of self, don't have that sense of confidence that do get targeted, if you will.
Yeah, of course. And it's so important to de-escalate when you can. But I also am really inspired by how you transformed yourself and learned these skills and you help others too. Um, why have you chosen to focus on teaching women and people over 50 specifically about self-defense?
Well, I think they need it more. I think if you've reached that stage of life, I was outraged one time. I was writing a column, and this lady got mugged, and I contacted her, and she was really upset that I didn't. I said, well, look, I want to just share your story so other people won't have this happen. And she says, oh, well, just part of living in the city. And I go, oh, well, no. It doesn't work that way. We should be out there looking for this character. But I think they lose awareness sometime, or they get too scared. And I think we got to be out there. Like someone said, we have more coffee shops, be less crime. Everyone's outside, right? If we took our televisions outside and watched them, there'd be less crime. We're all outside.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers your question, but that's why I find women, you know what? I like training because they pay attention and they appreciate your time, whereas guys can be very know-it-all.
I'm sure. Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think it's true that the world can be a very scary place for everyone, and especially for women.
Yeah.
What is something that you wish every woman knew about self-defense?
I wish they would trust their feelings. And that's when I myself been in trouble, and I've always read interviews, and they say I knew something was wrong. And I know one time when I was in former Yugoslavia, I'm leading a patrol, and we're going to the bush, and I remember the fireflies stopped, crickets stopped, and the hair in the back of my head go up, and I go, okay, I think we'll leave. I just backed off and I left, and that totally illogical, but everything indicated this was not safe. Like even the bugs knew, you know. And so yeah, I wish you have a sense of self. Don't you get in a situation. I'll do a scenario like a university, and maybe a young gal gets there and you're hanging out with the football team, and you're so whatever overwhelmed, and this is so awesome, and these people are up here, and you're only still there, and you gotta still get that sense of, well, is this a safe place for me or not? Like, just because they're celebrities doesn't make them perfect. And keep in mind, some of them have been treated good all their lives. They're like these alpha males and teachers and adults, and everyone treats them like they're special, and they sometimes they take advantage of that. So I think, just again, you got to think, well, trust your gut, trust your feelings, and make a plan. Just like Lynn was saying, everything's planned. My God, she should have been a tactician. But I mean, I always think about stuff like going somewhere in a strange place, I got a taxi, I got a place to stay, I know a way out. I don't trust to be looked after. I mean, I'm just naturally paranoid, but that's the way I look at it. But that's the biggest thing. Everything I've read and talked to people, they say, I knew something was wrong. And here's the experiment you can do sometime. Next time you're in a shopping mall with some friends, food court, turn around and say, you know what, if I was a bad person, who would I pick? And don't say anything for a while, and consistently, they will pick out the same people. It's consistently. I remember my class one time, I go, well, just what do you think? And they consistently still picked out the same person. I go, yeah, well, sorry, but that's a fact of life. So it's, yeah.
Yeah, it's good to trust your gut for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'm telling to interject, but I think that awareness also of the situation and how it could go sideways really quickly or get out of control is important to be very cognizant of. And I think that's another thing that when you're, that because you also help older adults, people over 50 and know about self-defense. What's something that you can, share with them who are tuning in about what they should be really aware of, when it's different than just strictly women, but it's, individuals who are older.
Yeah, plan ahead. Plan ahead. We got, when I was living down in, I don't know if you know Vancouver, Kitsilano is very trendy. And people like to wear their earbuds on, their sunglasses, at night, I might add. Do a lot of the talking, and I think, well, now you're half blind, you're deaf, and you're just asking for it. So know your way in out, know who you're dealing with, just these small precautions. And again, you treat yourself with respect. Like I mean, if I saw someone in a suit beat someone up and leave, I probably wouldn't say anything because they're probably a mafia. But if you look like if you're like a bum, someone doesn't respect themselves, and you get in trouble, everyone will come out. I don't want to be mean, but I'm just saying, if you treat and act like, if I go have a few drinks, come out, have a good time, generally speaking, I'll be left alone. If I get rip-roaring drunk, I'm staggering out, swear at some people, well, I think, you're asking. So having said that, I realized, and I met people who mind their own business, they do get assaulted. And again, that's because they're more limited. They're physically less limited. You got to find a way of working with, teaming up with friends, having knowing your way out. A friend of mine goes hiking for days. He'll text me, tells me when he's going to be, and I text him. I say, I'll be at this time, that time, this place, that time, and work together. There's nothing wrong with two women going downtown together.
Mm-hmm.
One of my students.
Safety in numbers. Safety in numbers, right?
But again, well dressed, good looking gals, looking around. Don't flash cash, and you look like someone. And the thing is that a predatory person will say, well, wait a minute, if I bother them, it looks like there'll be repercussions. And I've found that they have a look about them. There's also that bonding thing, and some children have that, some animals have that, and there's just a different thing. And so generally speaking, yeah, if you're, I'm not going to say, if you're not involved with crime, you mind your own business, generally speaking, it's going, you know what, someone might come back and there'll be a price to pay. I'll give you a story. One of my students, real neat girl, Leanne, she was 5 foot whatever, tough little gal, and one time her boyfriend had gotten into a confrontation. The guy had her boyfriend against the wall, strangling him. So Leanne comes in, boom, hooks this guy in the ribs, knocks the wind out of him, puts him on the ground. I said, good on you. So you have the ability. What I'm trying to say, you just don't think you could totally help us, because even a lion or a tiger. You're Lynn or a tiger. I heard your podcast, standard time. It instinctively knows, like, if it attacks a wildebeest and breaks a tooth, it'll die. So even then, go, well, they're not. They're thinking their safety as well. Yeah. So there's always that. It's not, it's the predator wants to go in, but also wants to escape. So they think, oh no, look at that, look at the way she's walking. Oh, maybe she's packing something. Maybe I'll go there.
Yeah, it seems like you've mentioned a lot of great things about preventing bad situations from starting,
Yeah.
but even knowing how to defend yourself and manage your stress and your anger, of course, the best option is to avoid a fight, physical or otherwise. But if something does start to arise, how can we de-escalate a tense situation?
I'm glad you mentioned that. You know what? I found a little bit of empathy. This sounds weird, but a little bit of empathy sometimes. I remember one time I was in former Yugoslavia, and I kind of arrested a guy because he was drunk and he was shooting at us. But had him, and next thing you know, all these other villagers show up. Some didn't even have shoes, and they all got these AK-47s. And like, okay, this is not cool. So a friend came in, he brought the interpreter, and they're all upset, and they're blah, blah. But, I let them run out of steam. I let them vent. And okay, we'll do a report and blah, blah, blah. But, and I've run into situations too, very aggressive characters. And sometimes you just let them vent. Oh, really? And they vent and they run out of steam. Okay?
Yeah.
So I found that. I'm not saying give in, say, oh, I'm sorry, whatever. It's just, what do you mean? It was a good one-liner. A friend of mine, someone was already trying to pick a fight with him, and he turned around and says, yes, but you're a very attractive man. And it just took him back. But I'm telling you, someone's got aggressive, hey, you think you better, well, no, you seem, what would you mean by that? And they're looking for a fight, but they can't quite, they're looking for aggression in return sometimes. That's what I think. I just my own experiences. But if you're in it, when it gets physical, it gets physical. I have no problem if I get the worst of it. Let them know. Just say excuse me, or no, or get help, or depends here. Put it this way: the Liquor Brothers had me one time when I was a kid, and I stuck my head in the water, and I bit down on one of them, and both screamed running. So, just saying, brush every day and floss.
All right. Well, wow, Doug, this has been, there's been so much great information here. Is there anything else you want our listeners to know about self-defense?
Yeah, get something simple, stick with it. What else can I say? I said again, the biggest thing is trust yourself, please. Just trust yourself, respect yourself, and that's 90% of it. If you don't like where you're living, working, whatever, say it, mention it. And I would also say the same if you found something wrong. I mean, I go into, I got a whole story for you, but it's something wrong, please tell someone, because I've been in a situation, no one said anything. I got hold of the perpetrator and I threw him out of the army, and I think I did some jail time because I found out someone was bothering one of my trainees. So if you have that kind of self-respect, you will go forward. And that's the biggest thing. But get fit, be fit. Go take up some jujitsu, learn a good chokehold, but be fit, look after yourself, and that's what I was going to say. Stay safe. Do your patrol. If I can push it further, I know as a soldier, I always look after my neighborhood. I get to know my neighbors. I get to, and I just kind of expand what I call my perimeter. And the same goes, and that's the coolest thing, because if I know them, if I know you, I see all the time, oh, there's Amanda, there's Lynn, how are you doing? And and now we've grown bigger, and there's our tribe has expanded. No one wants to mess with our tribe.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then you can look out for each other and simple things, like my neighbor will call me and she's, your garage door is open. And it's like, what? I must have forgotten to close it. Thank you for telling me. Right.
Yeah.
But you can, and you can just, there's an awareness because the people around you. And I think that's so true. It's like the ripples in a pond.
Yeah.
And then they're going like, well, I know that she's, normally at work and there's this strange car there, why? And it's like, you can text, hey, there's a strange car parked in front of your house, Is there anything that I should be reporting to security? And it's, oh, no, no, no. That's my uncle came in and he's staying with us, and, whatever, right?
Right.
So, but just that awareness can really make a difference. And so that you could say, well, something's just off, something's not right, and it just seems weird. So, well, Doug, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom on how to effectively protect yourself inside and out. I love especially that being that self-respect and confidence. And I know our listeners are going to want to hear more about where they can find out about you.
Oh yeah, just go www.dougstetter.com. A little contact there, and you can just email me, and I love to answer your questions. And as I learn to go, but that's your best bet. Just go to buy all my books, of course, but to go to just dougstetter.com.
Okay, absolutely. And we will be sure to include that link down below for everyone. And this has been such a great conversation, so much information. And for those of you who tuned in, if you have ideas that you'd like to share, we'd love to hear from you. You can leave us a comment down below. And if you'd like to ask a question or would have a topic you'd like to have us discuss, you can email us at jointheconversation@petitetoqueen.com. And of course, to stay current on all of our insightful advice, our breakthrough advantages, wonderful podcasts like the episode we just did with Doug, you can sign up for our weekly wisdoms newsletter at petitetoqueen.com. I want to thank everyone who tuned in and is listening to the show. And Amanda, Doug, thank you so much. Doug, thank you so much for all the wisdom today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Lynn. Appreciate it.